Good evening, gentlemen. It is Wednesday, March 25th, and baseball is back. We are one game into the Major League regular season. We've made it here. The anticipation has been killing us for far too long. It's been a great start to the year, as we can see. I guess maybe for some of us more than others here. Eric, welcome back. It is good to be back. What do you say?
Oh yeah, man. Can't wait. Baseball getting started. One of my favorite days of the year, opening day. I'm excited to get rolling. Excited to get this marathon of a season rocking. Good to get going. Hell yeah.
You mentioned on the pod, I believe you're playing sick. In this podcast, I know
Yes,
that, you're not feeling well today. Well, maybe tomorrow morning is not looking good for you, is what I hear. Uh,
exactly, man. I
that
gotta enjoy my opening day.
that yeah, the illness, there's a possible illness in the Fulman household that's going to be hitting you pretty hard tomorrow
Yeah,
morning.
if
So.
only the softball game gets rained out, then it'll be a beautiful day.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, we're not gonna mess around too much here because I only got like 3.5 hours before I need to get to bed here. Some of us have to work tomorrow. We're gonna probably jump right in here. We're gonna do our team by team breakdown that we've kind of been waiting for. If you, hopefully you guys all caught the last podcast where we did just all draft stuff, talked about best values, movers, who drafted well, who didn't draft well, who's gonna be moving up the power ranking, who's gonna be moving down, and our favorite values and players scooped up from the draft and how it kind of affected those teams. So now we're going to kind of dive into those team by team rankings a little bit more here. Uh, Eric will have his power rankings. I'm a little tardy to the party. I don't have mine put together. I'll keep it real. I'll keep it a buck. But I'll have those for tomorrow's podcast. We're gonna finish up tomorrow, so we're just gonna go quick, probably half hour here. We'll finish up tomorrow, and I'll have my power rankings by then. So I'll share those kind of at the tail end of the podcast here. So we're gonna start. We'll just start with our teams here. We're gonna start with the National Division here. So the Eric, Chris, myself, Pablo's Powerhouse. That is Jordan, Dexy, Wexy, Krim, and Justin. That we're gonna start off with these first. Probably won't get through all seven, but we'll get as far as we can through here. So Eric, let's go ahead and start with you. It's been a pretty quiet off season for Eroc's Dynasty squad. Is that kind of by design here?
Yeah, it actually took a while for me to make a trade, but I did make I think three trades in one day, and that was about that was like the crux of my off season there, which was kind of crazy. Um, yeah, I mean overall, I think I just had to wait for the right move. I didn't want to push too early or go too crazy, but um, obviously the Perdomo and Seager one didn't happen, so we can
Yeah.
cross that one off on the top. But yeah, I made a few trades on the same day, and then overall, I really wanted to keep Jazz throughout the year, but I felt like that deal was a decent one to kind of catapult on me getting another outfielder. So overall, traded my favorite player in the league, so that's never fun. But at the end of the day, I feel like the offseason went pretty well for me. Yeah.
How did these trades affect your draft strategy?
I went to before the Jackson Cheerio trade. I did go in needing three outfielders, and again, I know I've talked a little bit at length on the pre-draft pod about sometimes how hard it is to find reliable outfielders. I think you can find waiver outfielders all the time and just kind of throw someone in there, but to really go out there and have three or four strong outfielders is tough, which is why that Jazz for Cheerio trade happened. Most years I wouldn't have done that. But with the third baseman and second baseman I had already on the roster, Jose Ramirez,
Their skill set
Caminero.
is pretty much a wash.
Yeah, exactly. From a value to value standpoint, it's a pretty even deal there. Didn't love trading Schwarber, but I also went into the offseason. I literally was prepared to go into the draft with $50, $60.
Mhm.
So trading Schwarber and kind of at least being able to cut, trading Logan Gilbert and being able to cut salaries from those two and kind of get cheaper but still maintain superstar values. I felt pretty good about my trades in the offseason there.
Very nice. So overall, how satisfied were you with how things went on draft night and how your kind of roster kind of rounded out here?
I was pretty happy. I mean, like I said, I was pretty happy with getting Corey Seager. I was happy with getting Bellinger. I know I needed OBP guys, and I feel like I got that. In those two, obviously I got, Jose Ramirez. Freddie Freeman was another one on draft night. Again, another kind of big OBP guy, which I might have been lacking. I think I'm kind of a little bit of everywhere. I think maybe the one thing I could be struggling on a little bit is stolen bases. After Jose Ramirez, there's not like that surefire, like 25, 30 steal guy, but everyone's going to kind of throw in a handful here and there. And it's really one of the positions or not positions, but categories I don't worry about too much, especially if you do have a 40 steal guy in there. So overall, I like what I was able to do. I think my pitching, despite, Logan Webb's great performance and start,
Yeah.
I think my pitching is going to hold. I think it's fine when you compare it to some of the other people in the league. I think I got a couple aces in Lazardo and Webb. I think Nola, it looks like he's back on track this year. Gosman's getting the open. I got all my pitchers starting these first 3 days. So they're all at the top of their team's rotations. Feeling pretty good about it. Got a few closers. Again, probably not a top four rotation, but if my lineup is top three and my rotation is top six, I feel like that's recipe for at least kind of a playoff caliber team.
I look at this offense, and this offense is formidable. It is going to be a force. You're coming off a season where you had a damn near historic campaign of, I think, your all-time leader in RBIs.
I think it was, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
Uh,
know Phil had a monster offense a couple years ago, and Chad was in there a little bit too, but it was definitely up there.
I should have the archives pulled up here. But and it's looking like this offense is not gonna, be maybe that, but it's going to be up there, I think, amongst the league leaders in the offensive department here. I mean, you got your star power here with your Junior Caminero, Jose Ramirez, there, Freddie Freeman, solid contributor. Contributors across the board. It's gonna be a very strong OBP team. It's gonna be have a lot of RBIs, plenty of homers, and this is, one of the contenders to probably be up there. You have a few actually, as I'm looking at it, a few low OBP guys, especially from your superstars. Caminero did not have a great OBP last year, and for a superstar, J Ram doesn't have like one of those elite OBPs like a Juan Soto or a Cunha or a Judge or an Otani. But you can't not going to complain with 360. It's just not like a superstar OBP like you might expect. But you're going to balance that out with Corey Seager and Roman Anthony, and even Bellinger, who contributes decently to
No,
OBP usually. So I think it kind of balances out nicely. Your only concern is if J Ram's going to continue to steal 44 bases like he did last year at age 33, but you have no reason to
right?
think he's going to slow down because he literally had his career high last year at age 32. So, there's no reason, or at age 33 last year, whatever his birthday is. So I don't think it's any reason to think he'd slow down. You got guys that'll contribute a little bit here and there, chip in, even like your guys like Bellinger to chip in 15, maybe Cameron Arrow if he chips another 8 or 10. I think you'll be okay there. So I think the offense is pretty solid. I do have some concerns about the pitching staff because I just don't really know where your anchor and ERA and WHIP is here, and I just don't. I think there's enough of a concern here that Logan Webb is a notorious like very good pitcher, maybe borderline ace depending on your definition, but a guy that's not going to help you in the WHIP department. 1.23 WHIP last year, 1.23 WHIP the previous year, and already not getting off to the best start this year. It's just not a department he's going to help you in. Aaron Nola, you don't know if you're getting good no Aaron Nola or bad Aaron Nola. It is what is it, odd year, even year Aaron Nola, where he does it every other year kind of thing. But also not a guy that, in the last couple of years has been really a whip helper. Jesus Luzardo, well documented that he can get battered around a little bit. He hasn't had a sub 1.2 whip in a couple of years. Andrew Abbott, don't really know exactly what he is yet. High ceiling kind of pitcher, could be good. Kevin Gausman for a long time was a whip struggler because he's such a ground ball pitcher, kind of like Framber Valdez, but kind of had a career year in whip last year and pitched very well. So he's getting older. He's 35 now. If he's still got another year like he had last year, you might be in good shape. But there's just some real concerns about ERA and whip, and unfortunately, you don't have the closers that'll anchor that. Fairbanks and Dominguez. I don't know if those are going to be guys that are kind of like your upper tier level of Edwin Diaz types, where a sub one whip and or in a sub two or sub 2.5 ERA kind of guys. But if they can be more like a 3 ERA, 1.1 whip kind of guys, I think you'll be okay. But that's my concern looking at this team.
And I think the one thing too is there's a couple really good rotations in this league. When we look at Peters with Woo and Skeens, and we look at yours, I think a lot of these top pitchers, a lot of these teams have multiple. Dana has Yamamoto and Skubal. So I guess the way I look at it is on the outset, yes, it might not look like I have all these stars, but when all of the stars are essentially on 3 teams, I mean, I
Mhm.
mean this. If I could even be in a top six, top seven rotation, I'll take it because there's some brutal rotations in this league.
Yeah. Yeah, naturally, when we looked at some of the teams that didn't really have pitching and couldn't really get it in the draft, yeah,
Right.
there's gonna be some haves, there's gonna be some have-nots in the rotation.
And,
I think for the
and you know
most
me, I'm
part,
a big ADP guy, and the fact that, I mean, outside of catcher, my lowest ADP, and again, when we see some of these teams and some of these lineups, brutal. My
Mm,
lowest ADP is Gleyber Torres at 175, and then Dansby at 130, or Raphael at 150. So my whole lineup is essentially top 150
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
And there are some
very
teams
well
that
rounded.
are starting many dudes in the 250 to 300 range.
Hmm.
So it's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's probably maybe our single most well-rounded lineup from a contributor standpoint. There's nobody in your lineup where you're like, man, I should probably replace this guy. I mean, there's not really a move to be made. If you do have an injury, I don't really like the bench right now. I don't think you really have a guy on your bench that's really ready to step in. You probably feel differently about Jung Hoo Lee, but just a guy that doesn't really contribute much to anything, in my opinion. He played sent a full season, like 100, what was this, 560 at bats. I don't know how many games that was, but didn't really contribute any categories. So not a guy that I particularly would want anywhere near a fantasy lineup there. But I think that that's something you can find on the waiver wire over time as well.
Yeah, I like a lot of my young guys. I like Beavers. He's probably going to hit in the middle of that lineup. Mayer's going to be a starter in a really good Red Sox lineup. So kind of more, hopefully higher ceiling guys. Both come with pretty good prospect pedigrees.
Yeah, but I think the Gabriel Moreno thing kind of speaks to my whole catcher philosophy from a while ago, which it kind of comes back around. Catcher's better than it's ever been, and people are willing to pay up for catchers this year.
Yep.
But you had lost Teal, and you got Gabriel Moreno for free. And I think Moreno is going to have a really solid year this year. I mean, a solid OBP guy, going to be in a good Arizona Diamondbacks lineup, going to play a lot. I like Gabriel Moreno. If I didn't have Salvador Perez, I might have been eyeing him at the end of the draft. But I'm surprised he
And I like
went
Teal a lot
undrafted.
too. If you see what he did in about half a season last
Yeah.
year, if he could almost double those, maybe not quite double those stats, but yeah, I got no problem. And that's why again, me and you were both kind of surprised at how much catchers were going for in the draft. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was certainly shocking because I'm not the type to want the $18 guy when I can have the $1 guy at the end who's, 80% of what that is. The
right.
math doesn't math for me. So, I'd rather have free Gabriel Moreno than $18 on Augustine Ramirez or whatever, it may be. I'd rather take that extra 17 bucks and pocket it somewhere else. But, people are be valuing their catchers. People be trading for their catchers too, I guess, this year.
I
We have
sure
a new
do.
wrinkle there. So, do you want to say where you kind of have yourself in your power rankings here?
I think in all our years doing fantasy baseball and even my years doing football crimmy, I don't think I've ever had myself first. Maybe I've had myself second. So I'm gonna just throw myself third.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say first.
No.
Wow. Okay.
I'll throw myself in the three spot.
I'm curious who you have one and two. I would imagine I have a pretty good idea what one of those teams are. I guess. I could probably guess who those two are, but we shall see. So, without further ado, I guess we'll comb over to my team here since it's just the Glaze-a-thon here with the commission, the commissioner Glaze-a-thon here. I'll go to old Eddie Epstein and Diddy over here, just having the glaze party with the baby oil. We have not really many trades on my end this offseason either because I'm just kind of, nobody really is in my inbox much. Nobody really sends me much anything.
No idea
Just
why.
just me and Phil here with this trade here, and then the top one didn't go. So I mean, we've talked about that one in nauseum. Didn't really, we don't really need to go back into it. But I felt good about overall my draft. I was not expecting to have the draft that I had. I kind of talked about this a little bit in the first pod, but I was just like really happy to scoop up the values that I did. I was thrilled to get Corbin Carroll at 42. To me, that feels like a 3-year keeper for me at a decent value there, and just expecting to be kind of an upper 40s player. With the lack of talent in this auction, I was just shocked that he didn't go for more than like 50. And I think that a lot of people were expecting him to like miss a couple weeks with the injury, and so it seems like he's going to be ready to go for opening day. So feel like 42, not that it was like a steal by any means, but I think it was a really solid value. And then so spending that money early on kind of had to sit out a little bit, but I was just kind of ready to jump on some of those opportunities. I liked Yandy Diaz for 6, Aranda for 4, Wilson for 5. Isaac Paredes for 5. I think is going to be a really good player if he can carve out that consistent playing time. If he plays 4 out of 7 times a week, it might not be too good, but I feel like he's one of their like 4 best hitters. I don't think they have a way to really put him on the bench. And then sneak in a few values of Schwellenbach for 5 and Rogers for 6 there. I think just Got in the right amount of times to kind of strike on some guys. So it's not really my traditional way of just kind of get the star and then fill it out with some $2 or $3 guys. I kind of had to get some $5 or $6 and $7 guys here and there, but I was like really happy with how it rounded out. I don't really think my team like right now as I look at it, I'm like blown away by it by any means, but I just like feel really good about the players that I have and like the depth that I have and kind of the options I can go with here.
Yeah, I think honestly, again, I know we're talking about our two teams first, but very similar to my team. Like, who would you even bench in your lineup? You know what I mean? When you look at ADP numbers, you don't have a single dude that's over 200, well, except for Royce Lewis, your guy,
Mhm.
over 200 ADP. Almost everybody's 150 or below, or you got quite a handful of guys in that top 100 range.
And
Uh,
technically, I can put Paredes in, who's 177 over him if I
right.
wanted to.
Acuna, Carroll, Langford, all in the top 45. Two of those guys being in the top 15, which essentially equates to first round picks. Yeah, I mean, I like it. The lineup's got to be one of the best in the league. I think up there with myself and a couple other teams, probably for sure top four, top five, as long as everything works. But again, there are some injury concerns. I
Yeah.
mean, Acuna, injury concern. Buxton, injury concern. Royce Lewis, injury concern. Salvador Perez is 35. Jose
Mm.
Altuve is 35. Again, guys that usually play long seasons, but at some point, does it break down what happens there? I like Wyatt Langford. I think he had a solid year last year. Does he take that next gear? And I think that's kind of he's in the almost the exact same ADP that Roman Anthony was, and Roman Anthony got a lot of shit from you for his 400 OBP last year. And Wyatt Langford played 134 games and looked solid, but with that ADP, I think we're looking hopefully for more of a 30-30 player than a 20-20 player,
Mhm.
to kind of take that
Had a
next step.
great spring so far.
Yeah, which means nothing. But yeah, Wyatt Langford, you're kind of hoping probably takes that next step there, which I think he could. I think Wyatt Langford's going to be a stud. I have no doubt about that. But yeah, no, overall, I like it a lot. But again, I do worry a little bit about the injury concerns on the same side with the pitching. Jacob deGrom, you probably were counting your happy chickens last year when he got 30
Mm.
starts. What are the odds he does that again, right?
Rode him to a league championship.
Right. And what are the odds he does that again, which is very, very tough
Yeah.
to replicate that and to just kind of assume he's going to do that. It's hard to do that. Max Fried in the past, I know in 2023 he missed almost half the year. Obviously last year he was nasty. Hopefully he keeps that up. Trevor Rogers, again, like his stuff, like everything about it, but he's pitched over 100 innings just a couple times. He's never really gone much over 120
Mhm.
innings. As elite and nasty as he was last year, I just worry about the innings.
Mhm.
Chris Sale being 36 years old, I think the Braves are in trouble with their paper thin rotation. I don't think there's ever a situation where he would be shut down if they were bad, but there's a lot of age to this rotation and a lot of question marks when it comes to durability. And I do think if they all pitched 25, 30 games, I think you're going to be completely fine. You got the best closer in the game probably in Mason Miller. Do you have a second closer? Probably not. And I think you might have to worry a little bit about that. But if Mason Miller is going to get you 35, 40 saves, we've looked at how many saves you need to get to be league average. You need to throw in another 15 or 20,
Yeah.
at most on the season. So
If
I
you
really
all can
wouldn't
get me
look,
20, I might be in good shape.
yeah, I wouldn't really look at that as a concern. So overall, I think very similar to my team. There's not really huge weaknesses that stand out. I think there's obviously a couple concern areas, but we're going to find that on every single team here. So
Yeah.
overall, yeah, I mean this is one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, it's the only minor concern I have for this team is RBIs, just because I have so many leadoff guys, but I feel
Yeah.
like I don't really have a guy that's on this team that's gonna like really drag me down in RBIs either. So I feel like the guys they're gonna play every day. I don't really have platoon guys. The guys that are in here are gonna pretty much play every day, and they're gonna contribute like 70 or more RBIs. And so as much as I don't really have like a bopper, like a middle of the order kind of guy, Corbin Carroll's going to hit third, it appears, which is going to help. But I mean, Acuna's the leadoff. Perdomo is going to hit, I think, second or first. You have Altuve is going to hit leadoff. Buxton, I think, is going to hit leadoff or second,
Yeah. I
something
think
like that.
Aranda or Yandy, don't they hit pretty high up too?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like I wish I had a one more cleanup hitter. Like I wish I could had like a Nick Kurtz or Pete Alonso. kind of guy that could just, drive in 120, I'd feel a little bit better. But I think because I'm going to get some steals from a couple different places here, I don't really need to have like the rabbit, like the, Chandler Simpson, who's going to have 40 RBIs on the year and 60 steals to like really balance everything out. I think everybody in here is just going to kind of contribute that way. Maybe Willie Castro, if I need some steals, that he playing in Colorado and they said they want him to steal more. Maybe he could be a guy that if I need more steals, but it's really
Yeah.
going to revolve around Buxton because with Atlanta, or not Buxton, excuse me, it's going to revolve around Acuna because if Acuna can go get me 50, 60 steals like he kind of did before and past with their new base coach there, and I don't have to worry about steals at all. Like if Acuna ends up going from projecting from 9 last year, and that jumps up to 50 or 60, and then I get contributions from Perdomo, Buxton, Carroll, Langford, and so on, Altuve. Then it's going to be a top steals team. It's going to be, I think I'm going to lead the league in runs. OBP is going to be fantastic for most of these players. Yeah, Salvador Perez and maybe Lewis are my only concerns, but I got a ton of guys that have really high OBPs. So
I'm always
feel
amazed
good
at
about the
Salvador
offense.
Perez's runs scored. The dude had 30 home
Yeah,
runs last year, so that's
yeah.
30 of his runs.
54
He had
runs. Yeah,
24 runs that were not from his own self. That is insane.
yeah. The
That's
dude cannot get around the bases.
and it's every year. I mean, he hits
Mhm.
25,
Yeah.
30 bombs a year, and he never scores like 60.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as usual, yeah, and so I mean the RBI is a little bit concerned, but it's just this is not going to be the team that I finish the year with because A, there's going to be trades, but B, like these guys aren't all making it to the finish line. Like I know that. I'm happy with some of the depth I have, but like I know that Chris Sale and DeGrom are not throwing 180 innings apiece. Like I know that. So it's a matter of like how am I going to fill that in? What depth am I going to accumulate over time? And can they be healthy enough until Bieber, until Schwellenbach get back? Can I get 400 at bats from Buxton? Can I get 400 at bats from Acuna? And are they healthy for that time? Because I don't think these guys have performance concerns. I just think they have mostly health concerns. But most
Yeah.
of the guys here, like when they're on the field, they're great. Like they're great players. We know that from Buxton, from Acuna to Carroll. Like we don't have performance concerns about a lot of these guys. It's just like can they actually stay on the field? It's going
Right.
to be the concern there. So it can go poorly. It can be the kiss of death here with some of these injured guys. But I think that if I could just keep them held together a little bit, and the injuries can just don't stack too much all at the same time, and I can
Right.
space them out. I think it's going to be another really solid year for
Hey, you got a
fantasy.
lot riding on a 36 and 37-year-old ace pitcher. We'll,
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yep.
It worked out last year.
Yep. Yep. Hey, it worked out last year. We're gonna press our luck a little bit here. So yeah, so I feel pretty good about my squad. So next we'll go to Chris here. Chris is gonna be maybe one or two. He might be our last. I might have to be able to squeak in one more here. So this off season here. Let's go to sliding the DMs. He made the trade for Lindor and Hap, gave up Elio Ramos and Dylan Cease. He also did the Dansby for Contreras swap. And let's take a look at how he rounds out. Oh, did you want to give before? Did you want to give your power ranking of myself?
I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll
Okay.
wait till
All right.
tomorrow.
Yeah, keep me on ice here.
Yep, yep.
Um,
Keep those
so
balls cool.
looking at this team here, I'm kind of looking up and down this offense to start, and I'm seeing, a few guys that are gonna chip in with, some pop here and there. A few guys that are gonna chip in for some steals here and there. I see a lot of guys that are hitting in the middle of lineups, and I'm a little bit concerned about, and he's gonna need a good year out of Nolan Gorman, and the second utility spot with Wallner has some potential there. But I see enough pop to be formidable in this lineup, going up and down. Steel's a little bit of a concern. I don't see a ton of speed here outside Lindor and Duran. He's going to need some more contributions there. And then the rotation is full of guys that strike out a lot of batters and do have some pretty high upsides. He's got starters of Crochet. Peralta is about as good of a 1-2 as you're going to see across the league. You maybe not quite at the level of Peter, but pretty solid there. You got Mizorowski and Sheehan, who people are raving about Emmett Sheehan this offseason and how he's performed. He's in the Dodgers rotation, pitched very well last year, had 89 strikeouts and 73 innings last year with a sub 3 ERA and a sub 1 WHIP. So if that continues, that's a great number 3 pitcher. You got Jacob Mizrowski, which we know what the upside is there. Kind of fell off the rails a little bit towards last year after All-Star appearance, which he never really deserved in the first place. And so he's missing that fifth starting pitcher. He's got an elite closer in Duran. I think he's going to be solid. Second guy, Rogers and Uribe. I think one of these guys will probably end up getting the role for their respective teams. I don't think it'll be Uribe right away. I think it's still going to be McGill to start, and then Uribe probably might take it over time. But Rogers, I think, is probably going to be the closer in Milwaukee to start. And I'm like looking at this team going, man, this team really needs just like a fifth starter, and this rotation's pretty loaded. And then I go, huh? Oh, wait a second. Let's scroll down here. Oh, Carlos Rodon and Blake Snell are waiting in the wings down here. A couple more strikeout guys with great ratios. And I'm like, Rodon, I think, is only going to miss like a month. And Blake Snell, I think, is only going to miss, not be too long either. They're just kind of letting him, rest a little bit, keeping him on ice, and then, maybe wheeling him out here a month or two into the season. And so once he gets those guys back, I think this is going to be maybe the best rotation in the league. And I think the offense is actually good enough to be formidable. He's got to figure out the speed component of it and see what he can kind of get out of these guys. I wish his bench players had a little bit more upside. I hate looking at the three catcher thing on the
Yeah.
bench, but I wish he had a little bit more upside. What's the point of having Edgar Cuero or drafting two catchers when like you have a clear need for speed and go pick up somebody off the waivers that can give you some steals. But I like this team actually.
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job of rounding it out. Again, we're looking at balance between the first two teams you looked at, and mine and yours. Obviously, maybe a little bit more offensive heavy for mine, a little bit more pitching heavy for yours, but overall, pretty balanced teams. There's not like a clear, like for example, when we get to Dexter's team, like the offense is loaded, the pitching's a little scary, right?
Yeah.
So again, this is a team that again, like you said, is pretty well rounded. A Peralta Crochet 1-2 is going to be up there among some of the best. I think Duran as a closer is going to be one of the better ones in there. Not quite, and again, it's tough because when you look at, and this is what I was kind of getting at the other day when I talked about the idea of closers like being like running back committees now. You have no idea how many players I am clicking on that say, well, they'll be in the mix for saves. Well, they'll be in
Yeah.
the mix for saves. Well,
Yeah.
they'll, and that's kind of where he is with Uribe and Rogers there. So I'm not quite sure how that'll look, but obviously this is a quick little 4-day stint. But Sheen's looking good, Mizrowski, so you got the potential and the ceiling of those up and coming prospects. You have the more certainty with Peralta and Crochet. A little bit different than your team. They're 26 and 29. He's not relying on 37-year-old pitchers to kind of get him through here. But like you said, Rodon's sitting there waiting in the wings. Blake Snell's sitting there waiting in the wings, who should be back maybe in June. Who knows, Blake Snell? But I know Rodon's going to be coming back a little bit quicker than that. But yeah, I mean, in the offensive side, again, is it as good as mine and yours offense? Probably not. But again, I would argue me and you probably have two of the four best offenses in the league. So the fact that he still has a bopper in Suarez, he's got a superstar in Lindor, Duran out there. I don't want to say it steeply falls off after that. I think he's got solid contributors in Hap, in Teoscar.
I
But
feel
it
like it's kind of got some accumulators though. And this like roster has some players that I'm like going to point out later in the podcast that like I wish some other teams kind of could go for, but just kind of some like high floor, going to play every day kind of guys, like Ian Happ and Duran and Contreras, those kind of players that just like, they're going to get your 80 runs, your 80 RBIs. And, just when you have a lineup full of those guys, it's hard to kind of spot that weakness
and
in
he
some of
doesn't
those
really have
pitching
a single
stats.
guy, and we're going to see some teams that, go a stolen base heavy guy and then they maybe get 10 homers. I don't He
Yeah.
really doesn't have a guy in his lineup that should be less than 15
Hmm.
home runs.
Yeah.
Does he have a guy that's going to hit 40 outside of Suarez or even 30? I mean, you could argue Lindor is going to be around there, but I don't know if he has a for sure.
I think he's got several. 'Cause I think Lindor will hit 30. I mean, he's done it 3 out of 3 years. I'm pretty sure, unless he hit 29 one year. I can't remember. Murakami's probably gonna hit 30. I just don't know what's
Ooh,
gonna come with it.
ooh,
Wallner, I think, could hit 30. He had
ooh.
22 and 336 at bats, and I don't know who in Minnesota is gonna take playing time away from him. Stanton could hit 30. So like Teoscar could
Oh
hit
man, he's
30.
walking glass, though.
So, but yeah, exactly. But when they're healthy, then he's, got a few guys and can put Soler in for for Stanton. He could hit 30 when he goes out. So I mean, could this lineup be a lineup that has like 5 or 6 home run bats? It could. Will it? No, it's probably not going to work out that way. But
No.
I could see like there's a path here. I mean, the path here is like the pitching breaks out. Sheehan and Mizrowski, you get 130, 150 innings out of them, and then you
Right.
pair it with two aces and Peralta and Crochet, and you're loaded at pitching, and then you just have this has a path to being a championship
Yep.
contender, I think.
I do think the concerns though are OBP and, as you mentioned earlier, stolen bases.
Yeah.
OBP, he doesn't have a single guy last year that had a 350 or higher outside of Stanton at 350. Murakami's a strikeout machine. Suarez is under
Yeah, but he had
300.
four guys over 340 though, so that's a little bit chilly.
Yeah, but I mean, look at it. He's got three guys under
What's league average? Like 325?
last. I looked at it. I think the league to be league average for our league was 337.
Okay.
So, I mean, but he's also got three guys last year that had under a 300 OBP. So, I
Yeah.
mean, how much does that can't, I mean, the fact that I think he needs a 370, 380 guy to balance out some of these because, yeah, I mean, Suarez is going to bop, Teoscar is going to bop, but they're almost guaranteed to be under 300 OBPs. I mean,
Mhm.
so I would worry a little bit about that.
Yeah, looks like yeah, about 323 was league average last year. So yeah, everything above 323. But I think like almost, I think just under half his lineup was above that 323 mark. So but
And
yeah,
about
Tom
half of
just
it's under.
what's that? Yeah.
And about half of it's
So
under.
if he can be maybe a league average guy, but I think Murakami's probably gonna be under. I think Wallner's gonna be under.
Yep.
Teoscar's gonna be under. But
Yep.
if he's has enough guys to bring it up, maybe breakout year from Gorman. I could see Gorman hitting 30 home runs. So I actually think this team's got plenty of pop. And so it just what's he gonna do with steals and how's it gonna round out. So I actually feel pretty good. This team is certainly gonna be one that's gonna be in my top half actually. And some of the teams that are not gonna be in the top half might surprise you. Do you have a power ranking for this?
If you want, do you want me to say it or you want me to
Yeah,
wait?
go ahead.
I got him at 6.
Six. Okay. So you're that is in the top half for you. That
Yep.
surprises me. Okay. See, I messaged you before this and said, I think some of these it might surprise you, but you and I are usually in lockstep a little bit with this more so than we always think we are. So
Yeah, I think he did a
let's
good job rounding out his team. Yeah.
Let's go to one more team here. Let's go to Pablo's powerhouse. We got Jordan's team here. So he had a pretty relatively quiet off season for Jordan here. Oh, looking for there we go. He made a trade actually the other evening. One of our first trade that we can talk about that we haven't talked about yet, and then the Michael King for Taylor Ward trade from before. So he acquired the pitcher, gave up Ward. And then most recently, he gave up Chase DeLauter, who's having a fantastic spring. The
Yeah.
rookie here on a $1 a contract, and acquired Painter and Jonah Tong. What'd you make of that one?
Wasn't a huge fan of it. I mean, it is what it is. Painter will be in the rotation this year. Finally. I tried to ride that train a couple years ago. It was fine. It was kind of really a lot of prospects for prospects. DeLauder and Painter. It's kind of like, hey, you need a prospect pitcher. I'll take the hitter and kind of roll with it. It's fine. We'll see how it pans out. It's just you've said this before. We see prospect hitters come up and perform. It's very rare unless your name is Paul Skeens, for you to come up and be 22, 23 years old as a pitcher and just dominate. You just don't see it.
Yeah, everybody just assumes, that the pitchers are just going to come up and pitch well. And it's like actually the hit rate on like prospect pitchers is like feels like under 25% that are actually
It feels
good.
like they're 26, 27 years old before they really figure it out.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
usually it takes several years for you to be like, oh, okay, now he's kind of ready. And people are seeing like, oh, Bubba Chandler, he's the next Paul Skeens he's with Pittsburgh. They're just like, we
Right.
don't trust Pittsburgh to actually develop talent correctly outside of generational talent like Paul Skeens, who you can't possibly even like mess up. When it comes to some of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, for every one of Paul Skeens, I feel like there's five that don't really work out right away. So it's a good point. And the hitters lately have been a little bit more consistent breaking out, but sometimes it takes time too. I mean, Bobby Witt came up and wasn't good right away. I don't think he was kept after his rookie year and then kind of thrown back kind of thing. So, it does take a little bit of time. So, I'd probably actually be on Chad's side here because I think Chase Slaughter's, kind of already starting to prove he can hit major league pitching and
I believe I drafted him
gonna
last
have
year and then he missed the whole year because of injury. I was looking forward
Oh,
to.
that's right. He's the one that can never stay healthy, right?
Yeah. I think I drafted him last year. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah. So, I'm gonna give a slight edge to Chad on that one, but I mean, hey, more if we're talking prospects, I guess you get two bites of the ice cream cone there
right.
from he's gonna have a double opportunity because he got two of them. Jonah Tong, I don't really know what to expect out of him to be honest. He wasn't really good last year, and he's already sent down. So who knows when he'll be up in the Mets rotation? They're not gonna be messing around. All right, so we have Jordan's team here. We got Will Smith at catcher, Vinny P at first base. We got Nico at second, Riley at third, Trey Turner, Kerry Carpenter, Stephen Kwan, Jacob Marcy, Luis Robert, Nick Kurtz, Willie Abreu. Then pitching, we got Bradish, Flaherty, King, Sasaki, Kenley Jansen, Andres Munoz, Matt Strom, and then I guess he's probably going to go with Andrew Painter rounding out the rotation. Shout out to Pablo for drafting this team. So you can't really be too hard on Jordan here, but man, I see a team that is very disjointed here. I see a lot of guys that are not going to provide enough pop for him to be relevant because he doesn't really have the boppers, the mashers. He's got like one in Kurtz here, and like he's going to need Riley to hit 30, 35 home runs. He's going to need Vinny P to hit 40 home runs. He's going to need Carpenter to hit 30, and even then, when you have guys like Kwan and Marcy and Horner, who are not going to hit 20 home runs, like it just kind of balances all that out. And it's not really a team that has like an overwhelming amount of speed.
No, it's funny because the speed guys get counteracted by literally the guys
Yeah,
that had one or two steals last year. I mean, like
yeah.
literally one or two steals. So it's
And
tough.
and and then there's obvious holes in this rotation here of not having a fifth starter. Roki Sasaki is even in the rotation. He's been horrible. He's got like a nine and what's his ERA for the spring? I think it's like over 9 or something like that.
He is going to be in the rotation, but we'll see how it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, just brutal.
I think that was one of
He's
the worst keepers in the league.
yeah, I think maybe the worst keeper in league history, if we're being honest here. Maybe outside of the guys that get hurt right away. Rest in peace, Crimmy, for having a couple of those.
Yep.
And then he's got Jansen, who we'll see how much left he's got left in the tank. Munoz, okay, some okay closers here, but like he doesn't even have like a fifth starter here. King and Flaherty both have some pretty inflated ERAs and WHIPs. Bradish is your ace, but popsicle six and Elmer's glue there with Bradish. I like Bradish. I think he's going to be a hell of a pitcher this year, but he's got to prove it a little bit too. And there's just not much after that. So I think things are looking kind of bleak. I mean, once Garrett Cole comes back, maybe in a couple weeks, if it is a couple weeks, it starts to look a little bit better. And then if it's Bradish and Cole, and then King, your three, okay, Flaherty your four, not bad. And then you just need to figure out your fifth spot between Mize, Painter, and Sasaki. I guess that would give it a little bit of potential. But man, I have a hard time seeing a path for this to be an elite rotation, and I'd ever see no path for this to be an even like serviceable offense.
Yeah. I like the lineup more than I like the pitching. I do think there's going to
Really?
be,
Hmm.
I think, oh, I mean, I don't know how
Does
you
that
can.
include Garrett Cole though? Like, because I
Yeah,
hated the rotation until I kind of saw Garrett Cole down there.
it
Because like if
still
Garrett Cole
includes
ends up
Garrett
just being
Cole.
Garrett Cole, it changes everything. But
It does, but it still includes Garrett Cole. Bradish hasn't pitched literally in 2 years. What can we really expect out of him? Flaherty was awful last year. For whip year perspective, ERA perspective, wins perspective. Michael King was fine. But again, he played half a season. So what are we expecting there? Sasaki played 10 starts. We don't really know what he can do at the big league level yet. Kenley Jansen's 38. Munoz is going to be fine, but this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, rotation in the league. One of them. I know we'll look at a couple others that'll probably give it a run for its money. I think the offense, like I said, from a head-to-head perspective, will be able to compete in some weeks. You're going to have Nico and Trey Turner getting some steals. Okay, maybe Riley and Carpenter hitting some. It's going to compete on certain weeks. This offense does have names where it'll get hot in
a good
certain.
chunk of these guys are platooned too. So like the counting stats are a concern.
Yeah, we'll see with Marcy. I don't know. I don't know who else is in a platoon there, but
I don't know if Kwan's a full time. Luis Robert probably full time. Willie
yeah, I think
Abreu
so.
usually sat versus lefties last year.
Yeah, I know Robert took a while to get going in spring, but I just like I said, there's gonna be some times where this lineup does fine and head to head. There's gonna be some weeks where they're not really doing much of anything. And then like I said, the pitching's just brutal, man. I just even if you throw Cole in there, your two is Kyle Bradish, who hasn't pitched in 2 years. You can maybe argue it's Michael King. There's just it's rough. It's very,
There's
very
so much I
rough.
don't like about the team play. I mean, plus like how many good years are you expecting out of a guy like Trey Turner? Like
Yeah.
for an athletic shortstop, that fall off is coming quick. Like Trey Turner's not going to keep doing this for another 5 years. It's just a matter of when.
And granted, he does have five guys in the top 100 in terms of hitters. If you look at that Horner, Pasquinito, Riley, Turner, and Kurtz, like I said, there's gonna be, I think, worse offenses. But I think you're right in kind of the building of this team of like how does it really compete from a category to category perspective? And I just think there's too much of this and not enough that, and then too much of that and not enough this. And I think that's really what's going to kind of hold this team down. And like I said, the pitching's going to be brutal unless for some reason Michael King comes in and pitches 150. I mean, again, let's not forget Michael King just became a starter like a year ago. Like he's done this one time. So, there's a lot of question marks with that.
There, I see more of a path for the pitching than you do, but I mean that's like taking a lot of things for granted. Like, sure, can Garrett Cole if he's going to be come back and be ace Garrett Cole, but probably not. Like he's probably going to be on innings restriction. He's probably not going to be himself when he gets back. Bradish, he's probably not going to do this for 160 innings. We'll see. They're planning for it, but he's never proven that he can stay together for that long. Flaherty has battled his fair share of injury risk. Michael King, who has never really been stretched out outside this the one season there to be able to sustain. Sasaki, we really don't really know what he is yet. And then just some age with the closers here. I think Munoz will be fine on a good Seattle team, but yeah, just a lot here that has question marks. Stars could align here for the pitching. That's kind of what
Yep.
I'm saying. But you're asking a lot of things to go right, like where we have performance and injury concerns from a lot of these guys. Whereas if someone like mine, I don't really have performance concerns from Sale and DeGrom and some of those guys. Just a matter of can they stay healthy. Here, it's kind of like you have both a little bit.
And
Um,
me and my Austin
I don't
Riley.
see a path for the offense. Yeah.
And me and Austin Riley, I think that was one of the biggest overpays in the draft. I know it's easier to look back and say, well, you could have done this, you could have done that. But again, when Cal Raleigh went for what, 32 or 33, that 36 for Austin Riley sure is eye-popping.
Yeah, it is because it's now 2 years, two down years in a row. But I mean, if three straight years of basically 33 homers and 100 RBIs, just damn near if you average that out and average out 35 and 100, he basically just needs that to
Yeah, but he
be
hasn't done it in
competitive.
2 years.
But
How
yeah,
long do you wait until you say, well, he did it
yeah, he's
5 years
only
ago?
28 though.
Braves are in trouble, man.
They
We'll
might be
see.
they might be a little bit in trouble. But with that, well, we're gonna stop there. Your boy here, your commish has to go to bed. I'll try and get this posted. It'll probably be in the morning. I don't have time to let it buffer and all
Are
that.
you
So I'll try and get this posted before I can get off to work and we can hopefully enjoy it on our commutes tomorrow. So Eric, thank you for joining me, and
always?
we will pick up with the rest of the National League tomorrow and hopefully finish this off before the games start.
All right, sounds good.
Peace out.